Hello to all table tennis enthusiasts. We all know what a block with an inverted rubber is. It doesn't scare anyone, not even my grandmother. Yet some players dream of having their blocks be as unpleasant for the opponent as a sweaty African frog. So in this video, we'll talk about blocking with short pips. Specifically, we'll discuss the differences in ball behavior when blocking with inverted rubber versus short pips. Will there be surprises for opponents when facing blocks with short pips? Will opponents run away in panic? Let's delve into this boldly and decisively. This question isn't as obvious as whether there's life on Mars. First, we'll hear from Alexei Sipachevsky, who compared the Yinhe Uranus Euro short pips with the Yinhe Big Dipper 4 inverted rubber. We've played a lot with both rubbers in our shop, including at tournaments. They are frequently purchased, and we have plenty of feedback on them.
So, what difference did I notice while playing with inverted rubber versus short pips? When I switched to inverted rubber after using the short pips, I immediately noticed that the angle of ball launch was significantly higher. In the first few rallies, the ball flew noticeably higher and went off the table. In other words, the ball behaves differently off inverted rubber compared to short pips, which tend to send the ball significantly lower. By the way, with 1.5 mm sponge short pips, the ball bounces slightly lower from the racket than with 2 mm sponge. My partner mentioned that after using the short pips, the ball seemed to skim, flying lower. Playing against such balls was more challenging, and my partner made more mistakes. To minimize errors, it's necessary to pause before hitting the ball, but even then, it's impossible to adjust right away.
So, we established that there is a difference. However, you may have different pips or a different inverted rubber, and you might be wondering how they compare in blocking against something else. The precise answer can only be obtained by comparing those specific two rubbers on your paddle and with your hands. For now, let's talk in general terms. By the way, while we're making interesting and useful videos and reviews for you, don't forget to visit our TT Maximum shop for your purchases. That would be the best way to thank us for our videos. First, we're discussing blocking specifically against topspin, not against counter drive. Secondly, remember that rubbers can vary greatly in terms of sponge softness, speed, and bounce characteristics. Let's say we're discussing two similar rubbers that are alike in speed and softness. The height of the ball's bounce on the opponent's side will likely differ. The ball will probably bounce lower off the short pips, and different short pips will produce varying heights and other bounce parameters. By the way, Alexei noted that his first blocks with inverted rubber after using short pips flew significantly higher. This indicates a difference in the ball's launch angle from the rubbers. So, if you switch from your usual inverted rubber to short pips and start blocking with the same technique, you'll see that your balls often fly lower than expected or even into the net. This is a characteristic of all short pips. The grip on the ball is weaker, so at the same racket angle, balls from short pips will tend to fly lower. After bouncing on the opponent's side, the ball generally also bounces lower. However, this doesn't always happen. In cases where a spinny topspin comes to you and you execute a slow block with inverted rubber, the ball may bounce for the opponent at the same height as from short pips or even lower. This occurs with a specific ratio of ball flight force and spin. If the ball's flight force is relatively weak while it has a lot of spin, the ball will bounce lower than expected. Moreover, the trickiness of short pips has no limit, and the opponent awaits a surprise in the form of an unwanted trajectory of the ball. Besides the difference in height, there's also a difference in trajectory shape. A block with inverted rubber gives a more rounded trajectory. In other words, if you make an aggressive block with short pips against topspin, the ball will travel on a flatter trajectory. This might seem insignificant, but considering the speeds in table tennis during attacking and blocking, these small nuances can easily lead to errors on the opponent's part. After the ball bounces on the opponent's side from inverted rubber, it may accelerate. This depends on the spin and speed of the ball. You're unlikely to notice such an effect with short pips. So, the difference in blocks is evident even here. And I remind you, a man is considered sober if he lies on the asphalt without holding onto it. So quickly, right now, subscribe to our channel and click like. And you can continue lying down. Furthermore, there's an opinion that when blocking with pips, the ball bounces from the racket faster. This is mostly a sensation, not reality. Yes, the ball may linger longer with inverted rubber, but it's a very short time. You won't have enough time to scratch your ear or sip a beer because of this difference. Just when making a block with a push, the block with short pips may feel quicker. But if this stresses the opponent, then that's good. And there's another bonus with short pips. They make it easier to perform a short block. This is useful when you want to execute a sharply diagonal block. If it's a short block, you can aim it diagonally towards the middle of the side edge of the table. Or when the opponent hits a topspin from a medium distance and you execute a short block, the ball bounces slowly and relatively short while the opponent is far away. They won't have the opportunity to continue attacking, or they may struggle to keep up, risking a miss. Overall, making such an unremarkable block is a useful skill, and short pips facilitate it. To avoid dragging this video on for 3 hours, let me summarize. In general, yes, blocking with short pips differs from blocking with inverted rubber. If your opponents make a lot of topspins, they will suffer. And I remind you that in gameplay, situations vary, and there are many nuances. To achieve that unpleasantness, you really need to use your brain. Opponents will adapt and try to counteract. They aren't fools. So tactical cleverness is essential. If you have any questions on this topic, feel free to ask them in the comments below the video.